defensively, but you also raised the issue, I know, like last May about your defensive line depth. Do you feel like you have enough guys you can kind of trust there, or how do you develop that in particular to get that?
Great question, because a lot of those guys that were trying to get developed have just got there. We had a big D-line class that we signed, with this last class, and I think that they've done a great job in the weight room, but they're freshmen, and it's hard to play. So we went out and got Juan Harris back, as a junior college guy, and DeMarcus Taylor is a junior college player as well, that to be able to give us some mature depth that you need in the core. And so to me, it's still playing a lot of guys. Coach Hagan does a great job technically with them. Just trying to grow some of these younger guys, getting them a little bit bigger. We had guys that really need to gain some good weight this summer and this off. So, I guess that's when I sit here and look at our team. The two areas of focus of concern are O-line depth and D-line depth. And so, to me, that's where I think that's going to define, how good we are on both sides of how good we are on each side of the ball is those two areas. So, not that changes a lot. You're obviously driven by those guys' production, but by having so many new faces on the D-line, there's just question marks for sure. But at the same time, we're gonna, I believe in the way we've recruited, and I think those guys are going to play extremely hard. And by keeping them fresh and not letting them get fatigued, I think that makes a big difference. So I feel like that's a strength. It's going to be our numbers. We just got to make sure that we maximize every rep in fall camp to get the guys ready to play.
Why do you think you've had so much success in recruiting? IU used to go after guys who had offers from Miami of Ohio and Toledo, and now you're going up competing with the big guys.
Well, first of all, I think you kind of, I think identified step one, and that is, we're going after guys that I don't care who they got offers from. I mean, if we think we have a chance to get somebody to come to Indiana, we're not going to back off just because they got offers from a bunch of big-time places. And number two, I think that we identify these guys, and I do when I go through. I don't pay as much attention to what their ranking is. I do pay attention to who's offering them, because I know which programs are really good evaluators, and I look at that. And so certain places, if they offer a certain kid, it gets my attention. Some places, give out offers like candy, and so it just doesn't mean as much, and we're aware of that, all right? And so what I'm saying is that there's, we're trying to go after really good football players that fit with us. And the bottom line is we're only as good as the guys we're coaching, and the scheme is only as good as the players running the scheme. I love defense, and I feel like we have a great system, but our system is a whole lot better when the guys running it are more talented. So that's a pretty obvious statement, but you better go get good players. And so to me, it's relationships. And then when the head coach is the top recruiter on the staff, that's the way it needs to be. And that's my approach. It's going to be that way, and I want to be the best recruiter on the staff, and I want these coaches to understand how important it is to us to get the best players, and it takes a ton of time. A lot of work, a lot of hours, and it's been paying off, and we've been getting players on our team that are considerably different than we've had in the past. And so now we got to just keep getting more of them, and we got to keep shoring up the O line and the D line. Because that's the area that's the hardest to find. It's hard to find big guys that can move. And so that's why they're put at a premium, So that continues to be a focus for us, is to find more of those linemen. And so, but we're selling, the family atmosphere, and it's not just hey, this is what it sounds good in recruiting. They're figuring out, hey, this is how they really are. And I think you hear the word genuine a lot from recruits and their families, and we just want to be real with people. And I just want to be real with these recruits, and I tell these guys, our best salesmen are the ones that are here, and the guys, especially the class that just got here, and they were a highly regarded class, and I asked them, I said, was this what you thought? Did we do a good job of preparing you for what it was going to be like being here? Like, Coach, I really do. You are who we thought you were going to be, and you're treating us the way you told us you would. And I say, hey, you tell the recruits that. Tell the kids on their visit that, because it's way more powerful coming from them. Have your parents, tell their parents that, and it's like a lot of these kids are from the same area too, and so you get a chance to get that kind of a connection. So I just want to say, hey, just tell the truth, and this is how it's going to be when you come here. So to me, that's what's resonating with them, and then also I think we got a great product to sell. I think Indiana is a great place to get your degree from. It's a great place to go to school. It's a beautiful campus, and we're now building facilities that are, on par with others, and that hasn't always been the case. And so that sends a strong message to the parents and the recruits that football is important at Indiana. And I love what we're doing, and I love what we're building, but it just takes time. And that's where, I wish it was happening faster. I wish it happened 2 years ago, but at the same time, I haven't changed in my resolve and my focus and what I believe we're going to do. And so we just got to, that's why I picked grit this year, because that needs to signify who we are as a program. Just keep persevering, just keep having the same passion, having the same energy, having the same focus, and do not let up until we get what we want. And when we get what we want, we're going to set new goals.
Coach, you led me into my question. Getting kids to Bloomington. I'm in Indiana. We live in northern Indiana, but Indiana hasn't had the tradition in football for a long time, and building the program up, building some momentum. Because let's face it, the Big Ten Conference is one of the toughest. You've got to compete all the time with these kids. But once you get them to Bloomington, what's it like getting the kids there and building this tradition that you're basically building?
Well, what you're doing is you got to think of it this way. So the guys we're recruiting, all right, since they've been born, okay, they've never seen us win a bowl game. They weren't even born when that last happened, okay? So we don't really even focus on that, okay? We're focusing on the future, and I came up with, and I borrowed this quote from somebody else, but the whole concept was, and I just shared with our staff not too long ago, that we're going to focus all of our energy on what we're building, okay? And everything that we are becoming, and not what we have been, okay, or haven't been. We don't even talk about that, okay? And I tell our coaches, we just focus on the future. And I'm trying to create an expectation, and when players come, because the whole point is, and you listen to these young guys talk, our recruits, what they talk, they came here to change this place, okay? They came here, the 2018 group, really, I guess it's 2019 class after we signed last season. Taiwan Mullen came up with the phrase, the new wave. Okay, and he came up with that. He really did. And it stuck with all those guys. As a matter of fact, I was walking by because they all work out together. And we have all the freshmen in one lift group. And so they broke it down on like new wave on whatever. That was how they broke it. That was just something that but that's how they think. They came here to create the change. And I love it. And they came to be the reason why that things are different than they used to be. And so that's why I want kids that want that. And sometimes, like I said, I'll go wherever we got to go across this country to get those kids. I want someone that believes that we're going to do it. Bottom line, I don't care what state you're from. I don't care where I don't care. We're going to start, and I'd love to have a whole roster full of Indiana guys. Okay, but if those guys choose to go somewhere else, then you know what? I wish them well, and I go get guys that want to be here. And then we're going to go beat your tail when you don't come to Indiana. And that's the way I think. And I want them to regret that they didn't come here 2 or 3 years from now. I do. That's what I believe. I want them to regret that they didn't come. But that's okay. And I don't, I do take it personal because I believe in what we're doing. But I'm going to go find guys that believe with us. And that's what we're doing. We're finding these guys that want to come here, and they want to invest in this place, and they want to be a part of the future of Indiana football and create that future. And that's what we're doing, and that's what we're selling to these families, and the kids are really buying into it.
Thanks, Tom. You compete probably the most competitive division in sports or in college football. Is there too much imbalance between the two divisions? And do you think that there needs to be some sort of realignment or adjustment to make it a little bit more even?
I've been asked it several times, and I know when I was in the SEC, they had the big discussion that the West was too many good teams in the West, and they needed to move somebody to the East and all that, So, but if you would have looked at it when I was a high school coach in Florida, and in the mid '90s, it was the other way around. Where the East of that conference was. So, I think you could, our divisions aren't as long-standing as theirs. And so I think if you let time unfold itself, that it will probably balance itself back out on a perception. But I just know this, we play, since I've been here, I think we've played everybody in the conference. And they're all tough. Every game has been a battle, So, they can splice them and slice them however they want. We'll just play who they tell us to play. You know, and I know it seems to be a big topic. I've been asked it several times even today, but you know, they may decide to do that. I don't know, but I promise you this, they're not going to ask me. You know, you ask me, but they don't ask me, you know, so they'll tell us where we're supposed to play. And the bottom line is we got to beat the teams on our schedule, and we play in the Big Ten. And so it's tough football.
Do you think the perception is apt that the East is stronger
Well,
than the West?
I think if you go back and look at raw numbers of championships, you know, that shows a certain thing. If you want to look at those stats, you know, and so I just think that's pretty obvious. But at the same time, you know, like I said, we've played them all since I've been here, and they're all good. So, you know, that's not going to change.
Do you believe having a college-age son that plays on the team gives you any kind of special insight into what recruits are looking for today?
It does, because, you know, I don't think necessarily like they do, you know, and with social media for sure, you know, where they spend their time, it has helped me quite a bit, you know, and having young coaches. Our GAs, they're some of the best ones because they're just not far removed from that either, you know. So we talked to them quite a bit about. Matter of fact, they had a guy come in and did like a social media presentation, and one of our GAs, like, he nailed every single question the guy was asking, and I didn't know hardly any of them, you know. So it just showed you the gap between, you know, guy my age and kids in their early 20s, you know. So especially the social media component. So yeah, having, you know, Thomas is you know, even just for the pulse of our team. I mean, we talk about it, you know, and just how things, and he's not like, he understands, and I don't put him in a tough position, but it's just good to have somebody that's, you know, on the inside that kind of says, you know, hey, this is a good thing, this is that, you know, you mean think about this or think about that. And so I think it helps. I think it really does.
Coach, you're talking about adding depth to your program. Last year, the rule changed and allowed guys to play 4 games. How integral was that for a program like yours in increasing that depth?
Thought it was big. You know, you can look at the guys that played, you know, and a guy like James Miller, prime example. You know, he in a normal year, he would have burned the whole year for playing a few snaps. He made some big plays, you know, and he got a chance to play. We got, you know, that to me is a prime. Even you know, Michael Pace, I know he gets injured, but he played those games, and he still got his freshman year back, and so. But just I thought it was a great rule when it got implemented and voted in, and I was excited about it. And after a year seeing it in place, I thought it was awesome. You know, and I'm looking forward to it being another chance for us to. I wish we would have had it earlier. You know, we got some guys that are older now that played in a very few games as freshmen that are seniors now. That, you know, you just wish you had that. It's a valuable year. You can't take that time back. You know, and that development you get at that age is pretty important. So if a guy's ready to play and he's going to play the whole year, that's great. But if he's not, the 4-game rule is a huge change for our game.
You touched on
What's that process like to find his replacement? Is it making phone calls? Do you watch film? Just find your next dose. Is it looking at contacts you have in the industry? How does that process work?
Yeah, you always have a list. You know, I have a list at every position of guys that I would like to go after if a guy chooses to go take another job somewhere else or be a head coach or be a coordinator if he's a position coach. And so I had, you know, and Coach DeBoer, it came to me, you know, even before Christmas, and just said, you know what, hey, I haven't made my decision yet, but I'm just, you know, thinking about it. So, which was good. It gave me, I said, well, hey, that's good to know. And so I got a chance to put some feelers out. And so, yeah, so it basically was, you know, trying to, in the combination of guys that I knew and had on that list, and then other guys that, you know, through the course of, you never know, timing is always, you know, a big deal and everything. And so some guys' opportunity to be available at this time period. But I will say, you know, we really, you know, Kalen was the guy I wanted from the beginning. You know, I just have known him for a long time, and so much respect for him, and a lot of commonalities with us and the way we do things, and the guys he's worked for and I've worked for, you know, there's a lot of crossover. So I knew exactly, even though we've never worked together, I knew what I was getting as a coach and as a man. So it was, you know, but we interviewed several guys, and, you know, but our staff, they all, once he interviewed, they were like, he's the guy. They knew.
How often do you update this list? Is it once a year? Is it
Yes.
once every off-season?
Every off season. Yeah, go through every position and sit down and just update it for sure.
How hands-on or hands-off do you try to be as he gets to know your guys and gets to what he wants to do with them?
I mean, hands off with me, with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, you know, one thing I think I've been clear about this from the beginning. I'm never going to tell him what to call. during the game. I mean, I think that's a big mistake. You know, he's the one that's done all the studying. He's the one that's prepared. But what I want to make sure is we're on the same page with how we're going to attack the opponent, how we're going to utilize. You know, what's the game plan that we're going to be able to utilize between offense and defense to be able to, hey, we got to use this tempo more this game or that, or we need to, hey, we got to score a bunch. We're playing this. So just all the way the game is going to be played. And then once the game rolls, I trust him. You know, and I want to make sure we're just on the same page. But I'm not going to sit there and be in his ear. To me, that's a distraction that becomes negative.
A lot was made just in terms of not just the yardage improvements you made at Eastern Michigan and the rest of the state, the efficiency stuff going down,
Yeah.
red zone, that sort of thing. I know you've only been through Springleton, but are there ways you feel like you can measure improvement that you're seeing in those areas in the offense? Maybe things you'll be looking for specifically in those areas?
Yeah, I will say this. I think it's hard to really tell during spring ball. It really is. You know, I've done it for a long time, and you know, you kind of get, you know, you don't really know. So I really don't know if I have a great feel, but I will say you hit on some good points. First of all, you know, he's consistently done a great job in situational football, and to me that's the key. You know, it's third downs and red zone. I mean, if you're able to convert on third downs, stay on the field, and be great in the red zone, you're going to score points, and therefore they've done a great job scoring points. And when he went to Fresno State, they were struggling. You know, he went to Eastern Michigan. They were really struggling. They've struggled for a long, long time, and he was part of that turnaround and did a great job in a tough situation. And same as places before. And when he was at Sioux Falls as both the head coach and the play caller, they were at a phenomenal offense. They didn't have a bunch of phenomenal athletes, and that was the same league or division I was coaching in at Lambeth when he was at Sioux Falls. And so, just knowing the creativity and the way he utilizes personnel and personnel groupings and those kind of things. So those are the things that really excite me. So what I do see, and our players see it, they see the system in place. They see what the system can become. And I think that's what's been a big part of their excitement for even the things we've done over the summer to accent the installation. We've had a way more aggressive summer than we've ever had since I've been at Indiana in regards to both our player practices as well as our install over the summer and the player meetings that we're allowed to have. And so, and Caleb's been a big part of that and his plan that he brought to me and wanted to be able to do this summer. And so we matched the defense up with that. So I just feel like that I'll have a better feel in fall camp, but you're not going to know until it gets in game time.
Talk about Kane being ready for it right now to be the defensive coordinator. I think he was the youngest coordinator in FBS.
Yeah, he was.
What about Kane that makes you confident that he's ready to be a coordinator? He's a big talent.
Yeah, I think that first of all, you know, he's kind of, from a coordinator perspective, he's followed the same path that I followed. Okay, I was a coordinator at Drake, which is 1AA, and he coordinated Eastern Illinois, which is 1AA, and then or FCS now. And then he went to South Alabama, just like I went to South Florida. And so that was my first Division I coordinator's opportunity was at South Florida. And so his first true Division I FBS was at South Alabama. And so, matter of fact, as we were the most improved defense in the country at Indiana when I was the DC here the first 2 years, and his defense was the second most improved. And so you just saw a very similar type of culture change and production change. And as even the season was unfolding, and both he was at South Alabama and I was here, he's the person I called and talked to about this idea, that idea. Hey, we're playing like this, we're playing like, and so very similar approach to how we're doing things. And so I brought him here as the position coach, and I told him, I said, I wasn't sure the exact timeline, when this was going to happen. He knew it would maybe happen one day, but I just felt like that as this season unfolded and got near the end, I just felt like that since he had a chance to be with us, and I knew that he was ready. I mean, he could have called us probably a year ago, but I didn't think the timing was right. And so I feel like that the timing is right now. And I trust him in terms of his preparation. I trust him in terms of his judgment. And I trust him in terms of his ability to make in-game adjustments. Because he was the guy I was relying on. So, like, when I would turn my back and go focus on the offense during the games, he ran the whole defensive adjustments last season. He handled everything on the sideline. And so communicated with all the coaches, made all the adjustments, got them on the board, all those kind of things. And so to me, he showed me, with us being together again, that he was ready. And so now he'll take another growth step, just like I did when I came here, and he has to prove it on the field. But at the same time, I feel very confident that he'll do a great job.
Is age a factor at all? I mean, do you think at his age, that back when you were that same age, you could have been?
I think that he's younger than I was. I was a high school coach for 15 years. So and I was a head coach in high school. When he was doing all this. So but at the same time, I think he's kind of been thrust into it sooner than maybe most have. I mean, he left our staff at Ole Miss and went from being a GA at Ole Miss to being a defensive coordinator at Eastern Illinois. That rarely ever happens. I mean, usually, you'll be fortunate if you get an FCS position coach job coming from being a GA. So he did a great job straight from that position. So to me, I think he kind of accelerated that learning curve by doing that, and he showed. I know he did a great job there, which caused him to get the job at South Alabama. And so, I think he's young, but at the same time, I believe he's ready. And obviously, my path was a little bit different. So, if I was put in that situation, I hope I could have been ready too.
Coach, you touched on facilities earlier, and you look around the country, it seems like everyone is building something brand new and spiking new. Do you feel like Indiana has everything it needs in terms of that, or how do you feel like where your facilities are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for right now, to me, the whole thing that I've focused on was getting this locker room right. Let's make sure we nail this and get everything that needs to be done the right way, and the players' lounge and all the stuff around that. So, and I love the fact that we're going to have, when you walk in the north end zone, it's going to have a football-only feel. And as you walk down, and you go down the elevator, you walk down the steps, and you come in that main entrance there to the right, I mean, it is football. You're stepping into the football complex. When you go down the steps and you get down to that ground level, it's football. You go to the left, you go to the right, it's football. And that, to me, is different than it's been in the past. And so all that hallway going down from the weight room all the way to the new locker room is football, football, football. And so that presents an image and a presentation of the importance we're putting on our program. And so that, to me, it's a next huge step. Yeah, we'll decide the next thing we need to do after this is all done. But at the same time, you got the facility that they're going to be practicing in and playing in and training in and locker room in. All that stuff is going to be brand new pretty much. And that's all you can ask for is investment in the program. And so I appreciate it.
The decline in attendance at college football games has been kind of a national issue. What do you think is the cause of that, and what's controlling really to capitalize on that?
I think nationally, the cause is it's a lot easier to stay at home and watch a game on my massive big screen TV with AC and whatever I want without having to deal with all the other stuff. Now it doesn't have the same feel as being there live for sure, but I think that and the ability to kind of catch all the games and just the social the way technology is advanced, I think that's probably a variable. I think also we got to do a great job. Talk about Indiana, we got to win. So I mean, that to me, it's pretty simple. So I want to, like I told our players, I said, talk about last year's Penn State game where the weather got crazy, and some people left at the end. There wasn't very many people. I said, well, you know what? We win that game, we find a way to finish that game, and they regret leaving. Okay? Well, many left early. We didn't finish the game, and they're like, told you so. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that's on us. So that's the part that we got to do. We got to win. Okay, and so, and that to me is how we address our issue at Indiana. But from a national perspective, I just think, it's probably ticket costs. I'm sure they got to look at that. That's something that people that are above me got to figure out. So, but I do think it's a pretty, the numbers don't lie. So people are going to, I think schools are going to have to address it and try and find ways to keep people coming, because the reality is, those games that people are coming to put on television, they don't have the same feel if those stands aren't full. I don't care what conference you're in. So it's going to be something that's going to be addressed, I'm sure, from a national perspective. So, but I think it'll kind of, hopefully we'll adjust and we'll adapt and we'll find ways to get it corrected. But you put a product on the field that they want to come watch and you have success, they'll show up.
I don't mean this to sound like... Go ahead.
You talked before about dropping the defensive coordinator title. Was there a moment maybe in a game, or was there something that led to that? I asked you this question before, but was there something specific where you said, man, I just was more focused?
I don't remember what game it was, but one of the weeks, it was late in the season, and I usually do all my I did all my call sheet preparation and which the sheet I carry out there on the sideline. I create that whole sheet and I go back and rewatch every down that we have on film of that opponent that night. And that kept getting later and later and later. And so eventually it was like I was there till 2, 3 in the morning. And then had to be back the next morning to go at it again. And I'm just like, you know what, I can't keep doing this. You know, it's just eventually gotten too much. And so I kind of knew when the season was over, I'm like, you know, I need to, in order for me to take the next step as a program and for us to keep, you know, I need to relinquish some of this stuff, you know. So I think that's when I knew. And then I had the right guy on staff I felt was ready. So that just made it even easier.
Coach, your recruiting success has been showing, but there's been a lot of guys that have sat in your seat trying to do what you're doing. What is it about Tom Allen that's going to be able to get that done where they couldn't do that?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that, you know, it's recruit, it's develop. You know, and right now we're recruiting some good players to Indiana. Once we get in there, we got to develop them, you know, and we got to keep them in Indiana, and we got to help them become wherever they come in at, they got to leave at this level, you know, from a physical perspective and a mental perspective and a work ethic perspective. And so, to me, it's hopefully given the time to get it right. It takes time. I do. I mean, I'm not going to sit here. We don't recruit a bunch of, you know, junior college guys. We have a couple on our team, not very many. So that's not an area so it's not a lot of quick fixes we're trying to get. We're trying to get high school guys that we can develop. And that doesn't happen overnight. So to me, it's time. It's continued support. You know, I really do. When I came to Indiana in 2016, I said it in my initial press conference. I felt like the support for Indiana football was trajectorying into an all-time high. You know, I knew the history of the program. I was born and raised in this state. You know, I love Coach Mallory, but I don't feel like he was given that same, you know, I'm not saying he wasn't given support. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying that from a facilities perspective, it's different. From an investment in their coaching staff, it's different. And that's what, you know, so to credit to Fred Glass and administration for that. So that to me is part of it, you know, and it has to be a priority, you know, and we have to, you know, don't just talk about it. We got to put your money where your mouth is, per se, you know, and you got to do that in this day and age of big time college sports. And so, you know, going out and getting a guy like Kalen DeBoer and giving him a contract like we did, you know, that's not normal. And that hasn't been the way it's been in the past. And when a bunch of folks wanted to hire Dave Ballou away and Dr. Ray away, you know, the school responded, you know, and did some unprecedented things with their contracts. And so to me, that's what you got to do. And so I appreciate that, those are the kind of things you say. How's it different? Those kind of things are different, you know. And building a multi-million-dollar our locker room, it's going to be gorgeous. It really is. And you walk in there, it's a wow. It really is. And so I just think that those kind of things are what we need to continue to do. And once we get that done, we figure out, well, hey, what's the next thing we got to do to be able to keep that edge? Because trust me, it doesn't stop, you know. And so, but you got to keep recruiting. We got to keep stacking classes on class and keep doing what we're doing. And so to me, it's grit, it's perseverance. Just keep chasing that goal and don't ever let up.
Tom, looking at the quarterback battle, what factors will you be considering when determining who starts in week one, and will experience be a major determinant?
Well, you know, I mean, it could play into it, sure. You know, and it's basically this. I believe that it comes down to who can lead our football team down the field and get us in the end zone. Okay, and so that comes down to accuracy as a passer. It goes down to execution as a quarterback in the run game and commanding the offense. It comes down to the players believing in you. You know, who does the team believe in? I think that's it. I think that's the big part of it. You know, it's moving the football team and the team believes in you. And that's the guy that has to be the guy, in my opinion. And so, you know, but you got to be able to, you know, move the football team down the field and score points. You know, it's a game of points. Scoring them on offense and, you know, not letting them score on defense. You know, it's not a complicated game. It's complicated to get to that point, but it's not complicated to figure out what you got to do in terms of, you know, how the system works. You know, so but I just feel like that position is a position. I've said it several times today. You know, when you talk about what's key for this year for us to take that next step and do the things we want to do, we have to elevate our quarterback play.
I know you don't want to look back, but at the surface, the decision at quarterback seems even more difficult this year than last year, which was a great battle in and of itself. Are you seeing that?
I agree. I think it's going to be a very difficult decision. But you know what? It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have.
Speaking of being from Indiana, you guys have the opportunity to open the season at the Capitol.
I'm excited. I really am. Matter of fact, we're going to go and do some promotionals for the game and just try and get our fans fired up and get as many people there as we possibly can. And obviously playing Ball State, an in-state team, and playing Lucas Oil Stadium. It's a venue I've not coached a game in. When I was a high school coach, we always played state championship games, there in Indy. But they hadn't built Lucas Oil yet before, and this is a new. So I've not coached a game there. I'm looking forward to that. It's a beautiful facility, great place to coach and play a game. So our players are excited. They really are. And so we're going to have a chance to go over there and get a practice in, the week before and all that. But I just think it's a great way to start the season, and at the state capitol there, and get all of our fans there and get them fired up and have a great, fun day. Noon kickoff there on the 31st of August. And so I hope we get all Hoosier Nation to show up and cheer us on.
Is that kind of neat for the kids to be exposed to
yeah.
like an
They're
NFL
fired up.
locker
They're excited.
room? Yeah.
They're very excited. They
And
can't wait.
Could you see doing more neutral games like
I
that
hope
in the
so.
future?
I'd like to play there as much as we can. I'd love to start the season there. If it's a possibility, I'd love to.
Tom, when you think back to your first year as a head coach, what did you miss most about being an assistant coach?
Oh, I missed being able to just walk away from certain things, because it really wasn't, something I didn't have to worry about. Now you can't walk away from anything. So that part I do miss. It's a 24/7, 365 constant, and that's part of it. I embrace it. I understand that, but yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, when you get put in this position, your life changes. So I do miss that. But I stayed in the role, so I'll decide what I miss about calling the defense a year from now. But at the same time, there's a lot of great things with being a head coach too. It's just it's like anything else. There's pros and cons to everything. But it's I definitely miss the lack of pressure for everything.
Tom, you talked a little bit about belief in quarterback, but
Yep.
talk a little bit about your belief in your defense. You're a defensive guy.
Yep.
How much has the belief in the defensive program grown in your time as a head coach?
Well, it's completely changed since I got here. I know when I first walked on campus, there was not a whole lot of confidence in our defense. And I got said a million times, if we just would have stopped somebody the year before, we would have done this, could have done that. And that had happened for a long time, So unfortunately, you had a whole about 25 years worth of negativity towards defense here. And so seeing that change is big. And I feel like that, by year two, which was the 2017 season, our defense was playing at a high level, and we just didn't have any depth. And so now I see us having a chance to once again play at a high level on defense and have some depth. And so that excites me. So my expectations are high for our defense, and I'm not putting pressure on Kane more than he already knows, but at the same time, I expect us to be good on defense. Now we got a plethora of guys that have to step up, because we got a bunch of guys we're counting on, but I think they will. They've had a great offseason, and I expect us to be a really good football team on defense and a team that's going to score points on offense. So that's my expectation, but obviously Coach Womack's going to do a great job of leading that group, and I've already seen signs of him doing a great job of that during spring and just kind of putting his own personality on certain things and how we reinforce it. But we're going to always do these three things. We're going to be the best tackling team in America. We're going to play with finality.